All right, we are recording, so I will get this over to YouTube either tonight or tomorrow morning. First of all, thank you to everybody that's on the call tonight. I know it's late. I appreciate you guys being on the call. And those of you that are participating in the call tonight, a double thank you as well. So everybody appreciates it. The first thing, my name is Ariel Post. For those of you that don't know me, I wanted to do a Zoom call with people from our team, all different ranks, from all different locations, because we all had different hosts, so we all learned different little tips and different little tidbits. So like I said, you guys always see my face all the time and hear me talk. I thought it might be fun for you guys to listen to some other people. So I was at the Super Saturday in Dallas, and we had Aaron O'Keefe and Molly Orr, who were our hosts, and it was fabulous. I learned a lot of new things. I have somebody else that's from Dallas that will be on this call tonight to share her tips. So like I said, I wanted you guys to hear from other people outside of myself. So we will go ahead and get started. Those of you that are speaking, just go ahead. If you have the lineup of who's going next, just go ahead and unmute yourself when it's time for you to talk, okay? So our first person that we have tonight is Dawn. She's going to share some things with us that she learned at First Super Saturday. All right, take it away, Dawn.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn. I went to the Super Saturday in Columbus, Ohio, Silver Ambassador. We had Emerald Brittany Baumgartner, and forgive me if I mispronounced her name, and Diamond Tamara Holloway. And one of the things that I took away from Brittany, I'm sure that we'll be talking about the Franks. I'm sorry, I'm getting all nervous. But she, instead of the Franks, she uses the 3-2-1 policy. And that was more simple to me because it was easier to remember. She said, in order to keep your group growing, 3-2-1 is you reach out to 3 people, you follow up with 2, and you train 1 new member every single day. So that was a little bit easier for me to remember. 3-2-1, more simple. She said, don't be afraid of the no's when you get the no's, because the no's will get you closer to a yes. And on days where you're less busy, because I know she works full time too, she said, reach out to a few more people. So that was one thing that I took away from her, was the 3-2-1. Tamara Holloway was the other one, the diamond that presented, and she talked about different relatable Facebook posts. She said, obviously, to post on Facebook daily. She said, use pictures with every post, because a lot of people, are visual learners. I know myself. I see something visual, it attracts me. Add emojis to the descriptions. I know a lot of times I'll copy and paste into Facebook, and people have good information, but the bullet points all add little emojis, and that gets people's attention. She said some things, instead of just always talking about the products, you could get a little creative with your Facebook posts. Talk about getting your Plexus paycheck. I know I've seen the little picture where it says keep calm, it's Plexus payday, and things like that, because a lot of people don't even realize that we can get we get paid for doing this. I posted something last week and somebody said, what, an annual income? They didn't even realize that this was a network marketing thing. It was just something that I was sharing, that I was using. One good idea that she had was just some different creative things. She said, take a bite of a cupcake when you're at a birthday party and say, look, 1 bite of this cupcake satisfied me, instead of the 2 that I would stuff in my purse to take home. Take a picture of an empty recliner saying, my recliner is not getting any action because I used to be a napper, but I'm not anymore. Just getting really creative with different Facebook posts, make them more personalized. One that I actually did over Halloween was posting a bag of candy, say, look, all this candy, and I didn't even touch it. So she just said to just make your Facebook's posts a little bit more personable. Picture of an empty coffee cup, things like that. And she said that another good one that she said, she used to participate in family s'more making night every night. And she had a really creative post that had a picture of her eating a s'more and said, dear Plexus, happy. I can't participate in family s'more night anymore from a disgruntled consumer. So it's just cute little quirky things that can get your audience more involved in your Facebook posts instead of seeing, oh, here's Probio 5 and a list of ingredients. Those were two really important things that I took away from Super Saturday in Columbus. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Dawn, that was really good. I'm Christiana. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I went to Super Saturday in New Jersey. The two diamonds there were Jennifer Leah and I believe Rachel Albert. I keep referring to as Mrs. Albert because I get her first name mixed up. But they were really good. I've been following Jennifer since I started Plexus, so it was really, really helpful and just nice to see that they're real people, and because they are and they care. But one thing that I did take away from both of them was their contacts and sharing. And I'm so bad at contacting people just because I feel like I'm annoying them. My upline has said it to me, and Jennifer said it as well. Like, you're not annoying them, you're just sharing it. It's the same thing as if you had people over for dinner and you made a casserole and you shared it with them. That's essentially what you're doing with Plexus. But then also when you make that initial contact and you're like talking to them, whether it's Facebook or over the phone or even in person, to make sure that they know that the conversation should be all about them. Like, and they even had a picture of a spotlight on a person. So it's as if you're interviewing them because you want to find out what their concerns are, what their life's like currently. And then as you're hearing stuff, making sure that you know enough that you can share with them. So yeah, not to get weird, to ask questions. You can never ask too many questions. The more you ask, I think the more it shows that you care. And then the other point, now that I've mentioned sharing, was Jennifer's contact, her method was the feel, felt, found. And that was the first time I've ever heard of that. I don't know if it was in the Plexus starter kit that I got in the mail or not. But her thing was when you make that initial contact and then they'll contact you back, oh, I don't have money for that. Which is what I hear all the time. But then make sure that your response isn't, oh, I'm sorry, I'll contact you later when you have more money. Tell them, like, I know, I understand where you're coming from. I have limited income. I don't have much money to spare. Like, I hear you and I understand where you're coming from. However, I found Plexus to help me health-wise. It has met all of my health concerns and more. I spend less on groceries and I'm making healthier choices. And so now that I'm not spending so much on groceries or coffee or candy, I can now take that money and put it towards Plexus. So in that mind, just telling it from my perspective, I'm like, wow, Plexus really is affordable. And then also the shield of confidence. So if they come back after that response and they still have nothing, they're still not convinced, tell them your story, like, to the full, and then go look for 2 other people's stories and share them with them. Like, hey, these are my friends. Plexus has helped do da-da-da-da-da for them. And then express the 60-day money-back guarantee. And I also found out with that, that it's with each product has a 60, with each order has a 60 money-back guarantee. It's not just your first 2 months. So as long as they're a PC, they can still get that 60 money-back guarantee on each order. So it's your story plus 2 others, the 60 money-back guarantee, and then explain to them the growth of the company. 16,000% in 3 years is outstanding. And then let them know that there's thousands of other people that have been seeing results, and that there's a huge amount of research that's been done with the ingredients of Plexus. So it's not just out there to make money. It works, and they've done a great job at making sure that there's the best ingredients possible in every product. So that's all I have for you guys.
Hi, I'm Jessica Himes. I went to the Dallas Super Saturday. Let's see, Erin O'Keefe and Molly Orr were there, and I actually haven't heard of them before this meeting, so I did, I went to their pages a little bit ahead of time and kind of looked them up, and these two are really outstanding. They have a lot. I know why they brought them in, because they did an outstanding job. Two of the things that I really took away was the mindset that Victor talked about in the video. If you guys haven't seen the video, it's up. You can go and watch it on YouTube. It's a really, really good video. If you know me, I came from a sales background. So everyone that meets me, and I tell that I've come from a sales background, they're always like, oh, you're going to do great at this. But what I always say is I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of sales, but I was selling to doctors and hospitals with their money and not actually people in their checkbook. And that is a lot harder sell. And sometimes with the information that I have, I'm overloaded with information and sales techniques and other things that can actually hinder me. So I found that Victor and the way that he approaches this is so subtle and actually just so simple. And so I wanted to go over a few of the things that I took away. And I think Christina spoke a little bit about it, but he talked a lot about mindset. And one of the things with mindset is when we first get into this, we either, have a certain pain point, meaning not pain like physical pain. Some people might have that, but you could be, you had gained 30 pounds, or you could be battling some other, illness or autoimmune disease, some sort of pain. So when you come into this, you see other people sharing, you're excited about it. Can it work for me? So that's typically when you're feeling that pain, you're wanting to get help. And so you start this and you ask if it can work for you. And then when you start in the process, you're excited, you get your products, you get going, you get started. You might not have the same results as the other people that you've been seeing or the testimonies that you've been reading. So you can kind of get down a little bit or start comparing yourself. And that's when you really have to get into that mindset. For me, one of the things that I do is that, I hope this isn't offensive to anyone, but it's the only, it's really the only thing that I can compare it to is sometimes with this, I get a little bit, frustrated or down because I haven't gotten to where I need to be. So one of the things I do is I'm constantly surrounding myself with other people. I reach out to people, I talk to them. I go to different people's pages. I watch diamond documentaries over and over just to keep myself stimulated and motivated, because this is something that you can get, a little down about. But hold on a second. So that's one of the things that I do to kind of stay motivated, to kind of keep going. One of the things that he talked about as well is mindset is 80% and tool set is 20%. And Plexus has a wonderful tool belt. The things that they give, it's 20% of what we're really needing. And if you've seen everything that they've given, it's a lot. So we really have to stay in that mindset. And with it being 80%, that's something that you have to keep doing on a daily basis. I see Ariel, I've asked her before and I said, do you ever just, kind of slow down or have a moment of, or weeks of, kind of taking a back seat or doing some things differently? And she's never ever done that. And that's something that when I've met some of the other diamonds, I've asked them that as well. And they have always been, once they saw the vision, they've stayed in that mindset. And that's truly what I think is successful, has brought them the success that they've had. He also talked about, if you believe you can, then you will find a way. And I know that in all of our lives, there is something that we have wanted in our lives, whether it be to lose weight or to get in a certain school or a certain program at school or to reach a attainable goal, and we want it badly, and we will do whatever it takes to get there. That's the same mindset you need to have for this business. A lot of people see this as just a business or just a hobby, and if you work it like a hobby, you're going to make money like a hobby. So you need to stay focused and in that mindset. 3 things real quick that he talked about is when you approach customers, like Christina was talking about, you have to ask questions, but you can approach them in the 3 W's: losing weight. People either want to lose weight, they want to have wellness overall, or they want wealth. So when you start asking them the appropriate questions, then you kind of figure out which angle to go into, and then you have to have the knowledge. One of the things that I really took away from him is that it's all about the customer experience. They're going to buy from you. They want your help. They're feeling that pain. They want to know that our products can help them. So always stay on your product knowledge and stay up with, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Stay up with your current product knowledge, know the company, like she said, be able to combat some of those obstacles and questions with your knowledge so that you can help them make that decision right away. So that's one thing that I took away, and I've actually watched that video a couple times because I've seen a lot of speakers for sales, and he really honed in on the simplicity of sales and a sales cycle. And I hate to call it sales because he calls it sharing, but it is truly sharing, and it's a process. So if you haven't watched it, watch it, and if you have watched it, watch it again. The other thing that I do want to talk about real briefly is one of the things that I believe it was Aaron talked about that hit home with me is to not compare yourself to everyone else. We all have different stories. So there are so many people on this call right now that have inspired me. Natalie, your story inspires me. It gives me hope. There's times in our lives, we all have times. I'm actually kind of going through a really complicated time in my life right now where, it's hard to keep Plexus at the very top of my list. But you have to, again, stay in that mindset. But one of the things they talked about is just because somebody else went through and maybe hit gold in 2 months or made the leaderboard within 3 weeks or whatever, that is to encourage you, not to discourage you. And sometimes it can be discouraging, but you have your own story, and everyone here has their own story, and it's not finished. You get to decide where your story finishes. So that's one thing that I really kept close to me, is that because I tend to do that, is I'm always asking somebody, what's your rank, what's your story? You want to hear their whys and their stories, but don't always compare yourself. Just because you've sat silver, I mean, look at Tara. She was silver for quite a while and she just hit gold. I mean, and there's nowhere to go but up from there. So it doesn't mean that just after 3 months, if you're not silver, that you have to check out. You got to keep your mind in that mindset and keep going and stay focused. Surround yourself, go to meetings, that's one of the things that I continue to do, is just keep watching videos, doing income producing activities daily, stay focused, get with RL or your upline, and keep going and stay focused. But you don't need to compare yourself to everybody. Everybody's story is always going to be different. It doesn't mean just because you didn't rank up as fast as them doesn't mean that you can't. So those are a few things that I took away.
Am I supposed to talk now? Okay. I went Tiffany Martin, and I went to Super Saturday in Denver. Go Broncos. And Down with the Patriots, special for you, Ariel. And we went to Denver, and we had Rainey Anderson and, oh my gosh, her name just fell out of my head. I'm so sorry.
Andrea Mitchell.
Thank you, Andrea Mitchell. Yes. And Jenny, shut up. And anyways, the thing that my biggest takeaway, or one of my biggest takeaways that was something a little bit different than things we've heard before, is I really, really enjoyed listening to Victor Antonio when he talked about his whatever. His 60 when it's 20 and it's 20, and at those 20% people on the bottom end, just kind of, it's okay to just go, you know what, I'm not dealing with you anymore. And then you got the 60% people in the middle, and you got the top 20% that are basically what I refer to as your low-hanging fruit. And the big takeaway for me on that 60% in the middle was dig in the knife. Let them feel their pain, let them find their pain, and dig in the knife and reach out to that 60% and let them realize what their pain is and what you could do to help them. But don't focus and throw up your product on them. Let them focus on their pain and feel their pain of what's happening to them or what's going on with them. And, you know, whatever, if they have thyroid issues and stuff going on, I mean, that's something that came up for me today. Talk about how, yeah, that really sucks and it's really hard to lose weight, and, you know, really focus in on how bad that hurts before, and then later on come in with the, you know, be the person that saves the day on that for your 60%, and then try to get as much of that top 20% as you possibly can. So that was one of my big takeaways. And then the other big takeaway was setting yourself up a daily method of operation. And Rainey said that a survey was done among the jewels, and Ariel, you may weigh in on this, that they say post 2 to 3 times a day, but she says she posted far more than 2 to 3 times a day on her journey to Diamond, that she posted all the time. And she wasn't worried about posting so much because people who needed to see it would see it, and it was what it was.
I'm going to pipe in really quick because Tiffany is absolutely right. Y'all that know me know I post way more than 2 times a day. So don't stop posting no matter what rank you are. So I will back up what Rainey says. And we did do that on the Diamonds page, and everybody said at least 3 times a day.
And Rainey said some days she even posted as many as 8 times in a day. She went back and looked when that survey was done. She went back and looked at her page to see. So she's like, you can't post too much. You can't share too much, because basically the more you share, the more people you're going to contact and the faster you're going to go. So that's my thing.
Hi, I'm Tammy Redding, and I attended Super Saturday in Houston. I saw BB, who is Emerald, and then Suzanne Clinton, and she is a Diamond Senior Gold. And BB's big thing was to share wherever you are, find someone to share it with. She said her favorite place is the grocery store, and she always gets in the longest line and kind of analyzes everybody's grocery cart and then strikes up conversations that way. Also, she shared her elevator speech, as we have all worked on, but she actually did hers there that day at Super Saturday when she was going down to the event. And she said that there was a larger man in the elevator, and he did not even make eye contact with her, but she just was like, "Oh, today's such an exciting day." And he didn't respond. And then she made another comment to him, and then he kind of looked at her, and then slowly she started talking about what the day had entailed and her success with Plexus, and she ended up giving him her business card and saying, "Hey, you know, check out my website, give me an email, you know, with all your questions." And he was like, "Oh, thanks." So just get out, put yourself out there and share. And Suzanne Clinton, the Diamond Senior Gold, she shared how many active level 1s she had, which I'm always very curious to know. She has 33 active level 1s, but she said 15 of those are strictly wholesale ambassadors. So almost half of her active level 1s are strictly for wholesale. But out of that 33, 7 of them are jewels, and 4 of them are diamonds. So she was really enforcing, you know, duplication, teaching your team to duplicate, and you never know who is going to be your rock stars on your team. So that's what I took away from the meeting. It was great.
Ruth Ann, you're up
Hi,
next.
I am. I'm here. I was going to talk about elevator speech and preparing it, and because that really spoke to me also. And one of the things I took out is that somebody always will ask you, It, when you've got your bling on or your swag on, or just when you're standing in line or whatever, and you just happen to mention that you have your own business or whatever, and they'll say, what do you do? And then you do your elevator speech, or they'll say, what is Plexus? And you do your elevator speech. And so I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, that's great for when somebody asks you what is Plexus, but I think we probably ought to have several other elevator speeches that when they come up with a question about how much does it cost, how much do you use, what has it done for you, we can do those 20 to 30 second little elevator speeches while we're standing in the grocery line, and hand them our card if they so desire, etc. What the other thing, I'm sorry, I attended the Super Saturday in Scottsdale. How exciting. Our two hosts were Diamond Ambassador Rachel Davis and Elizabeth James. They were fabulous. And we were lucky enough to have Tarl and Alec just show up in the middle of their training. It was hilarious to watch Rachel Davis tell Alec he needed to get off the stage because we were on a time limit. But it was a great fun. Everybody should attend every Plexus event you can find. This is my first one. And I learned so much, had such a good time. My whole team went. We all had fun. We all got more enthusiastic than we were before, so it was absolutely terrific. One of the things that Elizabeth James said was to engage your minutes of the day by 15-minute increments, which I thought was great. In other words, when you're in the car picking up your kids from school and you're in the carpool lane or, waiting in line, use those 15 minutes to do your 3-2-1 contacts. Use those 15 minutes to write your elevator speech or another elevator speech. And if you contact 3 people every day, that equals 270 people in 1 month. And with those 15 minutes, that's a lot of people that you can catch in 15 minutes. I do mine when I'm doing the laundry and I'm waiting for one of them, something to go off so I can switch machines. Really easy to get that 15 minutes in there. So that was what I took from there. Also, she talked about the Frank's list, and that list always scares me because, a lot of people that are on my list I haven't seen in over 20 years and haven't really talked to them in over 20 years. And so she kind of told you how to figure out who needs to be on your list. One of those is people who are outgoing and positive. Those are people that you want to get on your list and get on your team. People that are well connected and they have a lot of friends in the community. People that are interested in their health and appearance. People that are passionate about growing their personal wealth. Those are the kinds of people that you need to contact first on your Frank's list. And that's about it for me.
Okay. I am Natalie Gray, and I went to the Bakersfield, California Super Saturday, and Sheila Medina and Almay Darling were the speakers. You guys kind of all touched on a lot of things, but 2 things that really stood out. The first thing was, one thing that Almay Darling talked about was knowing your why, but keeping it short and brief. And she said also knowing how to engage your potential. Once you tell them your why, if they're kind of just not interested, then, a great way to engage them would be to say, I'm sure you know someone who, and then learn to pause. so you pause, is tired, in pain, or struggling with weight. And she said, by pausing, you're allowing that person to listen to you, to really think about what you're saying, and maybe to ask you, a question in between. So it was really interesting listening to her talk. So she said she always, that's the same thing she always tells people whenever she runs into someone. She said the same thing about referrals. She goes, we always say we want referrals, but really we don't. We really just want them as our customer or ambassador. But so you can start out saying, if you know anyone, I'm sure you know someone who, pause, is tired, in pain, or struggling with weight. And it's a great way for them to think, well, wait a minute, I am in pain, or, oh, wait a minute, I could lose weight. So she said she's had a really good success rate with that. She said also keeping your why short and brief is good, because when you keep it vague, it keeps them wanting more information. When you go on and on and on and give them too much, they're turned off and they stop listening to you. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because I get nervous and I talk too much sometimes. So I need to practice mine for sure. The second thing that both of them talked about was stop prejudging people. You don't know their situation. Everyone does it. Oh, I don't know if my friend can afford it. They look pretty healthy. They work out. I don't think they would use these products. They said, approach everyone, talk to everyone about the products. You don't know everyone's situation. So I thought that was a really good, thing to hear. And then one thing I really thought, Almay is hilarious. I've seen a few of her YouTube videos, but her personality doesn't come out in those like she does in person. And one thing she kept saying is, be like a duck. She said, everyone out there that you talk to is like water, and you are the duck. And when there's those people that are negative, they're water. Let them roll off let the water roll off your back, like the water rolls off the duck's back. And I thought that was really interesting, because, she said, you're going to come across so many people that are negative against Plexus and about what you're doing, but you can't let them get you down. You can't let them get in the way of your journey. And you just have to let it roll off your back and keep moving. And it's, in a way, bless and release. And I've seen that on the team page too. A few people recently have kind of said that. So that was really it. You guys kind of all covered the other stuff, so I don't really want to get all into it again. But those were the few things that I took from it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that took the time with their little points. Also, I just wanted to say, I'm going to go back and listen to this again, and I'll write down all the notes and type it out, but just bear with me. I'll try and have that up in like a week's time. I'm going to be out of town, but everybody had different great points to share, so I want to get it into a hard copy as well. And then I will put this on YouTube hopefully tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. Also, like I said, I was in Dallas, and I wanted to share a couple things that I thought were pretty easy. We could all easily be incorporating. Molly Orr, one thing she suggested was to get on Facebook and join some different groups. She said one that she did was the wife, like a wives group of, it's like doctors' wives. Her husband is a doctor. And so that was one of the groups she joined. So I joined a bunch of different groups, and I challenged people on our team page to do the same thing. I was actually talking to somebody today, Megan, who joined a group. And once they welcomed people onto the group, they said, oh, what does everybody do for a living? And so Megan chimed in what she did, and somebody actually reached out to her, very curious about the business opportunity. And I think Megan's actually pretty close to signing her. So that was just off of these different group encounters. So I highly recommend that everybody do that. And then another thing she suggested that's really easy, when you're out shopping and they ask for your email, this happens to us all the time, right? Give them your business card and then let them keep it. When they say, oh, here's here you go. Say, oh no, you keep it. And then it has your Plexus, all that good stuff on it. So that's just an easy way to also share Plexus with complete strangers. And then one thing I really liked about Erin O'Keefe, she was from New York. I love that New York girl. She hit Emerald in 5 months, you guys. And one of the things she told us was that on her journey to Emerald, not once had she ever attended or hosted an opportunity meeting. So I thought that was crazy. She made it to Emerald in 5 months and never hosted a meeting. I've actually been talking to her, and that's why I'm bringing this up. I am hopefully going to have her do a Zoom with us either the end of this month or in February and share with us her tips on how she did it, because I think that's pretty incredible. 5 months and to have never attended a single meeting. So I think we could all learn something from her as well. So stay tuned for that. Like you guys said, it's great going to meetings like this. I hope everybody is planning on going to convention. It's going to be amazing. So if you haven't already, go and register. I won't keep you guys. Thank you so much for being on the call tonight. If you have any questions for me, let me know. And if you have any questions for anybody that gave their tips tonight, feel free to reach out to them on Facebook or on a personal message. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great evening.